I have been getting questions about how to get a job in Central and Northern Europe. Yes, I have made my career in Germany over the past decade or more, but reality is that I didn't start with a magic formula, and there is none. The standard bar is very flexible. Reality is you get to sell the experience you bring. You get to mold the value you convey across to the company in a different land that might be interested in your talent. So everybody, even with shorter experiences, is able to master the art of influencing with some key specific steps that I would like to share based on my experience and experience of some colleagues that I had the chance to work with over the years, precisely in this video. Let's get to it. Hello fellow wealth seekers and welcome back to the lab. I got a job in Germany when I was 24. Only 3.5 year experience in Italy. And honestly, it was merely a paid couple of internships. Yes, I eventually had a contract that was a bit longer than just a 6-month internship, but reality is it wasn't great. It was a basic starting point, but I did not treat it as a 9-to-5 opportunity. I reverse engineered the possibilities behind that. How to get to know the operations of a company, how industries and supply chains work, how to leverage stakeholders, especially the external ones, in getting the value that could serve me as a potential Trojan horse to get into a company as my first mid-level experience. So I literally grinded for 3 years, not respecting basic timetables, understanding where key decisions were being made, the stage gates of a company. It is called in my sector the critical path. So everything that needs to be true in order to go to market with a product. The key for landing a specific interview with the employers I have been in contact when considering a move abroad was adding some international color and project contribution to my CV. I volunteered with my employer at the time to participate to some projects with global exposure as a contributor that would help me show up, that would help me participate at something that had value beyond my current scope. This showed the employers in Germany that I was, first of all, willing to, and second of all, clever enough to understand where to place my talent, where to best absorb what the company had to offer. Germans are very pragmatic. They're looking for the value behind the words. They're looking for key practical examples they can relate to. They will go in depth for questions, but give you a fair chance to express yourself. Something that helps me being deliberate and intentional with my speech has always been the responsibility versus impact matrix. Instead of telling your story or describing a certain role and tasks, frame it as a responsibility I had versus impact I delivered. This makes it extremely intentional and relatable, and eventually puts also KPIs and value behind what you're trying to convey. I went for 3 different offers and had the chance to evaluate on the table the one that would sit the best with me. And listen closely, I did not go for the highest paid one. I went for trajectory and residual margin. These 2 things I have been constantly hammering on over a number of videos on my channel, but they are at the core of how you build your career and wealth in early contributing years. Trajectory, because you need to understand which company is high growth, which one will place you in interesting positions in light of future development. Projects that you can really be at the forefront and leverage with your future employer. Yes, think about your next experience when you are going for the current experience. Secondly, residual margin and geo arbitrage is underpinning everything I do, because it is not about your income, it is about how you deploy your wealth, how much you're able to save and invest, how much you're able to leverage and shield from taxes. This is extremely dependent on your location. So what did those German employers buy when giving me an offer? As a 24-year-old coming from a retail background in Italy, they bought a mix of hard and soft skills, and this is a common trait across any employer. They will be looking at market understanding, how quickly you can tell how their company makes money, how their operating system works, and potentially already auditing one key suggestion or opportunity. Secondly, analytical thinking, the ability to look at raw data and extract a compelling storyline. Number 3, time management, how to go at your own bandwidth, avoiding to be up to your neck with work, still giving an 80-20 balanced approach. I made a video about it, you might be interested. Number 4, emotional intelligence, read the room, read your audience, the person in front of you at the screen, and adapt and pace your speech according to them. 5, but not least, clear communication. Crystal clear, transparent, crisp to the point, nevertheless articulate with a good English vocabulary, being able to bring your points across. But in 2026, do you really need 4 years of experience, or are you okay with a couple of quick internships and fast and clever thinking? Most likely the latter. And here I'll give you 3 tools that will help you today. For emotional intelligence and communication, leverage Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT vocal. Be intentional, asking with a prompt to act as an interviewer and challenge your speech. Let's say you prepared a cover letter or a recap of your resume and you're trying to convey critical points across. Ask them to be brutal and to audit you clinically on what you are saying. You will learn a lot about your own communication style. Number 2, for analytical and market thinking, ask a nice prompt instead of looking at Wikipedia or a Google search. Leverage again Perplexity, Anthropic, ChatGPT, OpenAI, and leverage their deep thinking into a company study. Ask, how is this company doing financially? Do you have a SWOT, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat analysis? Very helpful to assess a company. And how can you derive some key points of action? This is especially good for non-listed companies where you have limited data available. You will be surprised how the deep research works and the analytical engine returns some results for your consideration. And just by studying this, you will understand the frame of how to look at company data and form your own analysis. Last but not least, time management. Use Kanban boards and time blockers. If you look at my other video about how to best leverage your time, this is a very scarce resource and we have to be intentional with it. So how do we make the best out of the tools that we have? Your current job is not a liability, no matter how little it pays. It is a training ground. Leverage it for what it is. Extract as much value as possible, understand dynamics and patterns, understand markets and supply chains, be able to volunteer for projects that will give you an edge by the time you will be faced with an interviewer across from you. Get your story right, practice the narrative, and use all these skills that will make you a perfect hybrid, trained, entry or mid-level individual that can bring through that value to the next employer. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments, leave a like. I would be extremely grateful if you support me on this journey of improving the channel constantly. I'll see you in the next session. European Wealth Lab out.